The black cat appeared on her fire escape at 9:15 every night, and Aria Thorne never thought to ask where it came from. She had moved into the cramped studio apartment 3 months ago, right after the promotion that should have fixed everything but somehow made the loneliness sharper. The building sat wedged between a luxury high-rise and a shuttered storefront, the kind of neighborhood where old architecture crumbled beside glass towers. Her fire escape overlooked an alley that smelled like rain and garbage, and the cat had shown up her second week there, green eyes glowing in the security light. Now she set out a saucer of chicken every evening. The cat ate delicately, never rushed, always gone by morning. Tonight the autumn air bit cold through her sweater. Aria balanced the saucer on the rusted grating and waited. The cat materialized from the shadows right on schedule, sleek and black as spilled ink. It regarded her with those luminous eyes before approaching the food. "You're the only one who visits," she said softly. The cat's ear twitched. I know. Pathetic. She worked 60 hours a week as a data analyst. Her college friends had scattered across the country. Her family lived 2 states away. The cat was better company than most people anyway. The cat finished eating and sat grooming itself while Aria hugged her knees, content to share the silence. When it finally slipped back into the darkness, she felt the hollow in her chest expand again. She never looked up, never saw the penthouse balcony 3 floors above, or the figure standing there watching her small ritual with an expression somewhere between amusement and something older, sadder, infinitely more dangerous. Yvain Hale had ruled the eastern vampire courts for 4 centuries. He did not develop sentimental attachments to mortals. He did not time his evenings around a human woman's feeding schedule. He certainly did not stand on his balcony like some lovelorn fool, waiting for a glimpse of her, yet here he stood. Again, the cat was his. Had been his for 200 years, ever since he had found the creature dying in a Parisian gutter and made the impulsive decision to preserve it. Blood magic, the kind most vampires considered frivolous. The cat could not be turned, not truly, but Yvain had frozen it at the edge of life and death. It no longer aged, no longer needed to eat technically, though it retained the instinct, and the preference apparently, for this particular woman's cooking. Yvain watched her disappear back through her window. The lights in her apartment stayed on late. He knew her patterns now. Knew she worked from home most days, that she ran every morning at 6, that she laughed at sitcom reruns loud enough for vampire hearing to catch. He told himself he was simply monitoring a potential security risk. His penthouse location was secret, known only to his inner circle. A human living this close warranted observation. The lie grew thinner each night. He turned from the balcony as the cat scaled the building's exterior with supernatural ease, slipping through Yvain's own window. It wound around his legs, purring. "You are making this complicated," Yvain informed it. The cat had no opinion on the matter. Yvain's phone buzzed. Lucien, his second in command. The message was terse. "Council wants a meeting. Tomorrow night. The Ravenna matter." Yvain's jaw tightened. Elian Ravenna, lord of the Western courts, had been testing boundaries for months. Small provocations, ships delayed, blood shipments contaminated, nothing overt enough to justify retaliation, but the pattern was clear. Elian wanted war, or at minimum, wanted to see if Yvain still had the steel to wage it. 4 centuries was a long time to hold power. Some thought him complacent. Soft, they would learn otherwise if pushed. He texted back confirmation and set the phone aside. The cat had already claimed its spot on the velvet cushion by the window, the one positioned to watch the alley below. Yvain poured himself a glass of blood, the expensive kind, ethically sourced from willing donors. The modern age had complicated vampirism in some ways, simplified it in others. He did not sleep that day. Instead, he stood at the window as dawn approached, watching Aria's apartment until her lights finally went dark at 3 in the morning. Only then did he retreat to his windowless chambers. Ridiculous. All of it. The week continued. Aria fed the cat returned to Yvain, and Yvain watched from above, caught in a loop he could not seem to break. On Thursday the cat did not return. Yvain waited on the balcony, tension coiling through him. The cat was never late. It had nowhere else to go, no other home. It always came back. By midnight he was standing in the alley himself, all pretense abandoned. The shadows welcomed him. He moved through them like water, searching nothing. No trace. He found Aria on her fire escape, shaking a small box of treats and calling softly into the darkness. "Here, kitty. Come on, I know you're hungry." She sounded worried. She had noticed the absence too. Yvain remained hidden, watching her scan the alley. The urge to reveal himself, to speak to her, nearly overwhelmed his caution. But what would he say? "Hello, I am the vampire king who has been watching you feed my immortal cat for 2 months. She gave up after 20 minutes and climbed back inside, shoulders slumped. Yvain expanded his search through the night, covering miles. He sent discreet inquiries through his network. A missing cat should have been trivial. He made it priority 1. Because it was not about the cat anymore. It was about the sick certainty growing in his gut that this was not coincidence. Lucien met him at dawn in the penthouse. His second was tall and angular, white-haired like all their kind, with eyes the color of old gold. He had served Yvain for a century and knew when to speak carefully. No sign, Lucien said. But there is something else. Ravenna's people have been seen in the district 3 times this week. Yvain went very still. Here, in my territory? Watching your building, my lord. They were not subtle about it. The pieces clicked together with horrible clarity. Elian had been searching for leverage, for a weakness to exploit, and he had found one. Not the cat itself, which meant nothing to anyone but Yvain, but the pattern, the routine, the woman. Pull all intelligence on Ravenna's current operations, Yvain said quietly. I want to know every asset he has in the city, every location, every contact. I want it within the hour. Lucien nodded and vanished. Yvain stood at the window watching Aria's apartment as the sun rose. She would wake soon, go for her run, come home. Tonight she would set out food for a cat that would not come. And she had no idea she was being watched by far more dangerous things than a vampire king with a sentimental streak. He made a decision then, the kind he had avoided for 2 months. It was time to stop hiding. Aria ran the same route every morning, a 3-mile loop through the neighborhood. The October air was crisp, the streets still quiet. She liked the solitude, the rhythm of her footsteps, the way her mind could empty out. Today, she could not stop thinking about the cat. It had missed 2 nights now. She told herself it probably had a home, a real home, and its owner had simply kept it inside. But worry gnawed at her anyway. The cat had been her one constant, her one certainty. She rounded the corner back to her building and nearly collided with someone. I apologize, a voice said. Low, cultured, with an accent she could not quite place. Aria looked up and forgot how to breathe. The man was tall, impossibly tall, dressed in dark clothes that looked expensive even to her untrained eye. But it was his face that stopped her. Pale as marble, framed by white hair that fell past his shoulders. Beautiful in a way that seemed wrong, too perfect, too sharp. His eyes were slate gray and very old. It's okay, she managed. I wasn't watching where I was going. He studied her for a moment and she felt pinned beneath that gaze. Then his expression softened just slightly. You live in this building. Not a question. Aria's pulse kicked up. How did you know that? I live here as well, the penthouse. He extended a hand. Yvain Hale. His hand was cool when she shook it. Aria Thorne, I didn't know anyone lived up there. I've never seen you. I keep unusual hours. Something about him was familiar, though she could not place it. Have we met before? Not formally. He hesitated, then added, You have been feeding my cat. Aria blinked. Your cat? The black one. I have noticed the ritual. Heat flooded her face. God, he had been watching her talk to his cat like a lonely, crazy person. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it belonged to anyone. It just showed up and I thought, do not apologize. I am grateful. His voice gentled. The cat has particular tastes. Apparently your cooking meets his standards. She laughed, surprised. I wouldn't call heating up chicken breast cooking. Nevertheless, he looked away toward the alley. He has been missing for 2 nights, I noticed. The worry came back full force. Do you think he's okay? I am searching for him. Yvain's jaw tightened. I will find him. There was something in his tone, an absolute certainty that bordered on threat. Aria believed him. This was not a man who failed at things he set his mind to. If you see him, will you let me know? She asked. I've been worried. His gaze returned to her warmer now. Of course. May I have your number? They exchanged phones. His was new and expensive, the case plain black. She noticed his hands elegant and strong and wondered what he did for a living. The penthouse had to cost millions. I should let you finish your run, Yvain said, handing her phone back. But I hope we will speak again soon. Me too. She meant it. There was something magnetic about him, something that made her want to stay standing here in the cold morning, talking. He inclined his head, a gesture that seemed almost courtly, and walked into the building. Aria continued her run on autopilot, mind whirling. Yvain Hale. The name sounded like it belonged in a Gothic novel, and his appearance, that otherworldly beauty, the pale skin and hair. She had never seen anyone who looked like that outside of movies. But his concern for the cat had been real. That mattered more than anything else. By the time she returned to her apartment, her phone had a text from an unknown number. This is Yvain. I will update you when I have news. She saved the contact and tried to ignore the flutter in her chest. Yvain returned to the penthouse where Lucien waited with a tablet. Ravenna has a warehouse on the waterfront, his second reported. Purchased through a shell company 2 weeks ago. No official purpose listed. Show me. Lucien pulled up the location. Yvain memorized it instantly. The timing fit. Elian had been planning this, watching, waiting for the right moment. He has the cat, Yvain said. Lucien's expression flickered. He had never understood Yvain's attachment to the creature, but he was too loyal to question it. What are your orders? I go alone. Tonight, my lord, alone. Yvain's tone allowed no argument. This is between Elian and myself. I will not risk anyone else. And the woman? Yvain had been waiting for that question. Protection detail, 3 guards, rotating shifts, invisible. She is not to know they are there. You think Ravenna will move against her? I think he already has people watching her, and if he took the cat to draw me out, he will use whatever leverage he can find. Yvain's hands clenched. She is not to be touched. Lucien bowed. It will be done. After he left, Yvain stood alone in the penthouse. The cat's cushion sat empty by the window. He had not felt this particular flavor of rage in decades. Not since the early wars, when every night was blood and politics and survival. Elian had made a grave miscalculation. He had thought the cat was Yvain's weakness, a sentimental soft spot to exploit. But the cat was not the weakness. Aria was. And Yvain would burn the western courts to ash before he let Elian touch her. The waterfront warehouse sat dark and empty-looking. Yvain approached from the shadows, his presence masked by the same blood magic that had kept him alive for 4 centuries. He did not need to see in the dark. The darkness was his. 2 guards at the door, trying to look human. Yvain could smell the death on them from a block away. Young vampires, maybe 50 years turned. They would not see him coming. He moved like smoke. One moment empty air, the next he was behind the first guard, hand locked around the vampire's throat. He crushed the windpipe before the guard could make a sound. The second guard turned, eyes widening, and Yvain took his head off with one efficient strike. The bodies crumbled to dust. New vampires always did. Inside, the warehouse was gutted, concrete floors and exposed beams. A single light burned in the back. Yvain walked toward it, unhurried. Announcing himself, Elian Ravenna stepped from the shadows, smiling. He was younger than Yvain, only 2 centuries turned, with the white hair and alabaster skin of their kind. Handsome in a cold way, like a knife. Yvain, I wondered if you would come. Where is the cat, Elian? Safe for now. Elian circled him slowly. You have grown predictable, old friend. 400 years and you have finally developed an attachment. I wanted to see if it was real. Return the cat and I will let you leave the city intact. Elian laughed. You think you are still strong enough to threaten me? Half the council believes you have gone soft, that your time is finished. Then half the council is wrong. Yvain's voice was very quiet. Give me the cat. It is just an animal, Yvain. Why do you care? Because 200 years ago, Yvain had been walking through Paris, drowning in the weight of centuries, and he had seen a dying cat in the gutter. Some small, fragile thing that would be gone by morning. And he had thought, I can save this one thing, this one small thing. It had been irrational then. It was irrational now. That is not your concern, Yvain said. But the woman is, yes? Elian's smile sharpened. The little human who feeds it, who you watch from your balcony like some lovesick boy. Does she know what you are, I wonder? Yvain moved without thought, closing the distance between them in a heartbeat. He had Elian against the wall, forearm across his throat, before the younger vampire could react. You will not touch her, Yvain said softly. You will not speak of her. You will not think of her. Or I will show you exactly how soft I have become. Elian's eyes were wide now, all bravado gone. He had forgotten what Yvain was beneath the civilized veneer they all had. The cat, Yvain repeated. Elian pointed to a cage in the corner, half hidden in shadows. Yvain released him and crossed to it. The black cat sat inside, unharmed, watching him with irritated green eyes. Relief was a physical thing, sharp and surprising. He opened the cage and the cat leaped into his arms, purring. Yvain held it for a moment, then turned back to Elian. You have 48 hours to leave my territory. If you are still here after that, I will consider it a declaration of war. And I promise you, Elian, you do not want that war. He left the warehouse without looking back. The cat settled into his arms, warm and solid, alive. By the time he reached the penthouse, dawn was approaching. He texted Aria, I found him, he is safe. Her reply came instantly. Oh, thank God. Can I see him? Yvain hesitated. Bringing her into his world was dangerous, but she had been feeding his cat for months. She cared about the creature. And he was tired of watching from afar. Tomorrow evening, if you are available, I will bring him to you. Yes, definitely yes. Yvain set the phone down and looked at the cat who had claimed its cushion and was already asleep. You, Yvain told it, are more trouble than you are worth. The cat ignored him, as always. Aria changed clothes 3 times before Yvain arrived. She told herself it was not a big deal, just a neighbor stopping by with his cat. But her hands shook as she smoothed her shirt for the 10th time. The knock came at 8. She opened the door and there he was, tall and striking in dark jeans and a sweater that probably cost more than her rent. The cat sat cradled in his arms, looking smug. Hi, Aria said, suddenly breathless. Good evening. Yvain's voice was warm. May we come in? She stepped back and he entered, moving with a grace that seemed effortless. He set the cat down and it immediately began exploring the tiny apartment, sniffing everything. I am glad you agreed to this, Yvain said. He has been insufferable since I brought him home. I think he missed you. I missed him too. Aria crouched down and the cat came to her, butting its head against her hand. Where did you find him? Someone had taken him, a business rival. Yvain's expression darkened briefly. It has been handled. The phrasing was odd, but Aria let it pass. I'm just glad he's okay. What's his name? He does not have one. She looked up, surprised. You've had a cat for however long and never named him? He has never seemed to need one. That's ridiculous. Every cat needs a name. She studied the creature, thinking, what about Shadow? He's black and he's always appearing out of nowhere. Shadow. Yvain considered it. He may accept that. He is particular about things. I've noticed. She stood smiling. Do you want some coffee or tea? Tea would be lovely. She moved to the small kitchen, hyper-aware of him in her space. He seemed too large for the apartment, too vivid. Everything else looked dull by comparison. This is a nice place, Yvain said, examining the books on her shelf. Aria laughed. You don't have to be polite. It's a shoebox. It is warm, lived in. He pulled out a poetry anthology, fingers tracing the spine. That is worth more than space. She brought him tea in her nicest mug, which was not very nice. He accepted it with a small nod of thanks. The cat had settled on her bed, making itself at home. So you live in the penthouse, Aria said, sitting on the couch. Yvain took the chair across from her. What do you do? I manage investments, family money, mostly. The lie came easily to him. It is not particularly interesting. But it pays well. It does. And you live alone? Just you and Shadow? Yes. Something crossed his face there and gone. I have for a very long time. The loneliness in his voice matched her own. Aria found herself leaning forward. It's hard, isn't it? The city is full of people, but somehow you end up more alone than ever. His eyes met hers. Yes, exactly that. They talked for hours. Yvain asked about her work, her life, and listened like every word mattered. She learned he had traveled extensively, spoke several languages, loved classical music and old books. He was educated in a way that suggested private schools and old money. But he never condescended, never made her feel small. And he was funny. Dry humor, delivered with perfect timing. She laughed more than she had in months. The cat slept through all of it, curled on her pillow. When Yvain finally stood to leave, it was past midnight. I should go. You need to sleep. I'm glad you came over. Aria walked him to the door. Maybe we could do this again? I would like that very much. He hesitated, then added, would you have dinner with me tomorrow night? Her heart kicked into high gear. Like a date? If you are comfortable with that. Yes, I'm very comfortable with that. His smile transformed his face, softening the austere beauty into something breathtaking. Tomorrow, then, I will pick you up at 8. He called for the cat, who ignored him completely. Yvain sighed. He is staying, apparently. I don't mind. Aria looked at Shadow, who had not moved from her bed. If you're okay with it, he clearly prefers your company. Yvain's expression was fond. I will retrieve him tomorrow evening. After he left, Aria leaned against the door, grinning like an idiot. She had a date with possibly the most attractive man she had ever met, who cared about his cat, who listened when she talked. It felt too good to be true. The cat watched her from the bed, green eyes knowing. Yvain returned to the penthouse where Lucien waited. The woman protected 3 guards at all times. Lucien paused. You are pursuing this. I am, my lord, the risk. I am aware of the risk. Yvain poured himself a drink. Elian is leaving the city. He will not be a problem. There will be others. There are always others. Lucien's voice was careful. If the council learns you have formed an attachment to a human, they will use it. Let them try. Yvain drank, the blood rich and warm. 4 centuries, Lucien. I have given 4 centuries to politics and power and endless games. I am allowed one thing for myself. Lucien bowed his head. As you say, my lord. After he left, Yvain stood at the window looking down at Aria's apartment. Her lights were still on. He could hear her moving around, the soft sound of her voice as she spoke to the cat. He had not lied to Lucien. The risk was real. Vampires did not love humans. Not the way stories suggested. The species gap was too wide, the power imbalance too great. It always ended in tragedy. But Aria made him feel something he had not felt in centuries. Hope, maybe. Or the possibility of it. Tomorrow, he would take her to dinner. They would talk more. And he would decide how much truth to tell her, because she deserved the truth. Deserved to know what he was before this went any further. Even if the truth might drive her away forever. Aria spent the next day in a state of nervous anticipation. She worked from home, barely able to focus on her data models. Shadow the cat slept in various spots throughout the apartment, occasionally deigning to eat the food she put out. At 7 she started getting ready. Her nicest dress, the black one she wore to company events. Heels that made her taller but still left her a foot shorter than Yvain. Makeup that took 3 tries to get right. The knock came at 8 exactly. Yvain stood in the hallway looking like he had stepped out of a magazine. Black suit tailored perfectly. His white hair was pulled back, emphasizing the sharp beauty of his face. He held a single white rose. For you, he said, offering it. Aria took it, charmed. Thank you. Let me just put this in water. She found a glass, filled it, set the rose on her counter. Shadow watched from the bed, tail flicking. Will he be okay here alone? She asked. He will be fine. He is remarkably self-sufficient. Yvain's car was parked out front, a sleek black sedan that probably cost more than she made in a year. He opened her door, waited until she was settled, then drove them through the city. Where are we going? Aria asked. A place I think you will like. Italian, very small, family-owned. The best carbonara in the city. You've done research. I wanted tonight to be perfect. He glanced at her, smiling. No pressure. She laughed, some of her nervousness easing. None at all. The restaurant was tucked into a side street, the kind of place locals knew about but tourists never found. The owner greeted Yvain by name, led them to a private table in the back. Candlelight, white tablecloths, soft music. You come here often? Aria asked as they sat. I have known the family for years. They take good care of me. The waiter brought wine, red and rich. Aria sipped it and tried not to stare at Yvain across the table. He looked unreal in the candlelight, like a painting come to life. Tell me about your family, Yvain said. You mentioned they live out of state Ohio. My parents are both teachers. I have a younger brother in grad school. She traced the rim of her wine glass. We're close, but not geographically. I miss them. Why did you move here? The job. And I thought a big city would be exciting. She laughed ruefully. Turns out mostly it's lonely. I understand that feeling. Do you have family? She asked. Yvain's expression shuddered, just for a moment. Not anymore. They are gone. I'm sorry. It was a long time ago. The food arrived and it was as good as promised. They ate and talked, the conversation flowing easily. Yvain asked intelligent questions, remembered details from the night before. He was attentive in a way that felt old-fashioned, courtly. Can I ask you something? Aria said as dessert arrived. You seem very formal sometimes, the way you speak, the way you move. Were you raised overseas? In a manner of speaking. Yvain chose his words carefully. My upbringing was unusual, very traditional. What does that mean? He met her eyes. It means I am not always certain how to navigate the modern world. Things have changed so much. Sometimes I feel out of step with everything. There was vulnerability in his admission. Aria reached across the table, touching his hand. I think you navigate it just fine. His hand turned, fingers curling around hers. His skin was cool, she noticed. But his grip was gentle, careful. You are remarkable, Yvain said softly. Do you know that? Heat climbed her cheeks. I'm really not. I'm pretty ordinary. No, you are kind. You fed a stray cat because you thought it needed you. You smile at strangers. You find beauty in small things. His thumb traced her knuckles. There is nothing ordinary about that. Aria's breath caught. The way he looked at her, like she was precious, extraordinary. No one had ever looked at her that way. Yvain, I need to tell you something. He pulled his hand back, expression serious. Before this goes further, it is only fair. Warning bells rang in her head. Okay, I am not what I seem. My life is complicated. Dangerous in ways you cannot imagine. He held her gaze. If you want to end this now, I will understand, but if we continue, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She should ask more questions, demand details. But something in his voice, the raw honesty, made her believe him. Whatever his secret was, it mattered, and he was trusting her with it. I can trust you, she said. Relief flickered across his face. Then I will tell you everything, but not here, not tonight. Soon. I promise. Okay. He drove her home afterward, walked her to her door. Shadow greeted them, winding between their legs. I enjoyed tonight, Yvain said. Very much, me too. He hesitated, then leaned down and kissed her forehead. Brief, chaste, but it sent electricity through her whole body. Good night, Aria, good night. She watched him walk away, then closed the door and leaned against it. Her skin still tingled where he had kissed her. Her hand still remembered the cool touch of his. Something was happening, something big and terrifying and wonderful. Shadow meowed, breaking the spell. I know, Aria told him. I'm in trouble. The cat had no opinion on the matter. Yvain returned to the penthouse knowing he could not delay much longer. He had promised her the truth, and he would keep that promise. But the telling would change everything. Lucien was waiting. Ravenna is still in the city. Yvain went very still, explained he left the waterfront. But my contacts say he has taken a suite downtown. He is not hiding. Then he is planning something. Yvain's mind raced through possibilities. Increase the guard on Aria. 6 vampires, rotating every 4 hours. My lord, that is half our immediate security force. I do not care. She is the priority. Lucien bowed and left. Yvain paced the penthouse, rage simmering beneath his skin. Elian should have run, should have taken the mercy offered and disappeared. Instead, he was doubling down. Which meant he had a plan, something he thought would work. Yvain pulled out his phone and texted Aria. Do not go out alone tomorrow. Please, I will explain everything soon, but I need you to trust me. Her reply came quickly. Okay, you're scaring me a little. I am sorry, but you are safe. I promise you are safe. He meant it. He would burn the world before he let Elian touch her. The next morning, Aria woke to find Shadow sitting on her chest, staring at her. Good morning to you too, she muttered. The cat meowed, insistent. She checked her phone. No messages from Yvain. It was Saturday, which meant no work. She had planned to run errands, but his text from last night made her uneasy. Do not go out alone. What kind of danger could she possibly be in? Was he in trouble with someone? The mafia? Some kind of criminal organization? She should probably be more concerned. Instead, she found herself worrying about him. Her phone rang. Unknown number, she answered cautiously. Hello, Miss Thorne? A woman's voice, cool and professional. My name is Elena. I am calling on behalf of Yvain Hale. He has asked me to ensure you have everything you need today. I'm sorry, what? Groceries, supplies, anything you require. I can have it delivered. Mr. Hale wants to be certain you are comfortable staying in. This was insane. Did he hire you to babysit me? In a manner of speaking. Please, Miss Thorne. Mr. Hale is very concerned for your safety. Aria sighed. Fine, I need cat food and coffee. I will have it delivered within the hour. The call ended. Aria stared at her phone, then at Shadow. Your owner is very intense. The cat seemed unimpressed. The groceries arrived 45 minutes later. Not just cat food and coffee, but fresh bread, cheese, wine, fruit. Enough to last a week. There was a note. I am handling a business matter. Please be patient with me. Yours, Yvain, yours. The word made her pulse skip. She texted him, thank you for the groceries. This is crazy, you know. His response, I am aware. Are you angry? No, confused, but not angry. Good. I will see you tonight. I am bringing dinner. Aria smiled despite her concern. Whatever was happening, he was trying to take care of her. It should have felt suffocating. Instead, it felt like someone finally saw her. Yvain spent the day hunting for information on Elian's plans. His network spread through the city, vampires loyal to him for decades or centuries. They reported back throughout the afternoon. Elian had been seen meeting with known mercenaries. He had purchased weapons, silver bullets, wooden stakes, the tools for killing vampires. He is planning an assault, Lucien said grimly. On you or the woman we do not know, both most likely. Yvain studied the map spread across his desk, marking locations. He wants to draw me out, make me vulnerable. Then we should move Miss Thorne, take her somewhere safe. And terrify her in the process. Yvain shook his head. No, she deserves an explanation first. I will tell her tonight, my lord. Tonight, Yvain repeated. I will not hide from her any longer. She will know what I am, and then we will decide together how to proceed. Lucien looked skeptical but bowed. As you command. Yvain left at sunset, picking up food from Aria's favorite Thai place. He had learned her preferences over months of watching. Pad Thai, spring rolls, extra spicy. She answered the door in jeans and a soft sweater, hair loose around her shoulders. Beautiful without trying, it made his chest ache. Hi, she said. That smells amazing. They ate at her small table, Shadow supervising from the windowsill. Yvain kept the conversation light, letting her relax. But the moment could not be delayed forever. After dinner, he took her hands. I need to tell you the truth now, about who I am, what I am. Her eyes widened. Okay, it will sound impossible. You may not believe me at first, but I need you to listen. I'm listening. He took a breath he did not need. I am not human, Aria. I am a vampire. I have been alive for over 400 years, and I am the king of the Eastern vampire courts. Silence. She stared at him, face unreadable. I know how it sounds, Yvain continued, but it is the truth. The cat Shadow, I kept him alive with blood magic 200 years ago. I have been watching you from my balcony for months because I could not stay away, and now a rival vampire lord is threatening you to get to me. More silence. Then Aria pulled her hands free and stood, backing away. This is a joke, right? Some kind of weird test? I wish it were. Yvain remained seated, non-threatening. I can prove it to you if you let me. How? He stood slowly and walked to her window. Opened it, felt the night air rush in. Watch. Then he stepped out onto the fire escape and jumped. Aria rushed to the window with a scream. But Yvain did not fall. He landed on the ground 3 stories below, utterly unharmed, and looked up at her. A moment later he was beside her again, having moved too fast for human eyes to track. She stumbled back, face white. Oh my God, I am sorry. I know this is frightening. Her voice was high, shaking. You just jumped off a building. You're telling me you're a vampire. How am I supposed to? She stopped processing. The pale skin, the way you only come out at night, the fact that you never eat in front of me. Her eyes widened further. Shadow. That's why he doesn't age. That's why he just showed up. Yes, and someone is threatening me because of you. A rival named Elian Ravenna. He took Shadow to draw me out. And he knows about you. That you matter to me. Yvain's voice was steady. I have guards protecting you. 6 vampires. Watching at all times. He will not get near you. Aria sat down hard on the couch. This is insane. This is completely insane. I know. I should be running. I should be calling the police or a priest or someone. You can. I will not stop you. Yvain knelt in front of her, meeting her eyes. But I am asking you to trust me, to give me a chance to protect you, and to explain everything you want to know. She looked at him for a long moment. Her hands were shaking. But when she spoke, her voice was steadier. Do you drink human blood? Yes, but only from willing donors. I do not kill. Have you ever killed? Yes, in wars, in self-defense. But not innocence, never innocence. Why did you tell me? You could have kept lying. Because you deserve the truth and because I care about you. More than I have cared about anyone in a very long time. He took her hand carefully. I will answer any question you have. I will do whatever you need to feel safe, but please, Aria, do not run from me. Her eyes were wet. This is crazy, I know. I fed your vampire cat for 2 months without knowing it. You did. A laugh bubbled out of her, slightly hysterical. Of course I would fall for a vampire king. Because my life wasn't complicated enough fall for? Yvain's voice was very soft. She met his eyes, and the tears spilled over. I was falling for you, am falling for you, and now you're telling me you're not even human. I am not human. But my feelings are real. This is real, Aria. You are not some game or distraction. You are, he paused, searching for words. You are the first thing in centuries that has made me want to live instead of merely exist. She was crying now, but she had not pulled away. Yvain reached up slowly, giving her time to stop him, and wiped her tears. Ask me anything, he said. I will not lie to you again. She took a shaky breath. Tell me everything, so he did. He told her about his turning in the 17th century, the vampire who had made him and then abandoned him. He told her about learning to survive, building power, eventually taking control of the Eastern courts through a combination of strength and strategy. He told her about the politics, the endless games, the weight of centuries. He told her about finding Shadow in Paris, the impulse to save one small thing, and he told her about watching her from his balcony night after night, unable to stay away. I know it sounds like stalking, he said quietly, and perhaps it was, but I have never felt drawn to someone the way I am drawn to you. You made me remember what it was like to feel hope. Aria listened to all of it, asking questions, processing. Shadow came over and climbed into her lap, purring. The absurdity of being comforted by an immortal cat made her laugh again. Okay, she said finally. Okay, I believe you. I don't know what to do with this information, but I believe you, that is all I ask. What happens now? With this alien person? I will handle him. He will not threaten you again. What does that mean? Are you going to kill him? Yvain's expression hardened. If necessary. Because of me? Because he threatened what is mine. He caught himself. I am sorry that came out wrong. You are not property, but you are under my protection now, and I take that very seriously. I don't know if I should be flattered or terrified, both perhaps. He smiled slightly. I am trying to be better. The modern world has different rules about these things, but old instincts are hard to break. She studied him, this impossible, beautiful, dangerous man. You really are a king. I am, and you want to be with me? Some random data analyst from Ohio? You are not random. You are extraordinary. He cupped her face gently. I have met thousands of people across 4 centuries, and not one of them has made me feel the way you do. Fresh tears welled up. Yvain, you do not have to decide anything tonight. Take time. Process this. I will wait. What if I decide I can't do this? Pain flickered across his face. Then I will respect that decision, and I will make sure you are protected regardless. Your safety does not depend on your feelings for me. That decided it for her. He was giving her a choice. No pressure, no manipulation. Just honesty and patience. I'm not saying no, Aria said. I'm saying I need time. You have it, all the time you need. He stood to leave and she caught his hand. Stay tonight, just to talk. I have 1,000 more questions. Relief transformed his face. I would be honored. They talked until dawn. Aria asked about history, what it was like living through centuries. Yvain told her stories, some beautiful, some tragic. He showed her his speed again, his strength. Explained the sunlight weakness. The blood bonds that tied vampire society together. When the first light touched the horizon, he had to leave. I must go. The sun will not kill me instantly, but it is extremely unpleasant. Aria walked him to the door. On impulse, she stood on her toes and kissed his cheek. Thank you for telling me. His eyes were bright. Thank you for listening. After he left, Aria sat on her couch with Shadow and tried to process everything. She had just learned vampires were real, that the man she was falling for was a 400-year-old king, that she was in danger because of it. The smart thing would be to run, to pack up and leave the city. But she did not want to run. She wanted to stay, wanted to see where this impossible thing could go. Shadow purred in her lap, warm and solid. An immortal cat kept alive by blood magic because his owner had a sentimental streak. Your dad is intense, she told Shadow. The cat had no opinion on the matter. Yvain returned to the penthouse as the sun rose, exhaustion pulling at him. He had not slept in 2 days, but his mind was too active to rest, Aria knew. And she had not run. Lucien met him in the entrance. Ravenna has made his move an hour ago. He stormed the building. Yvain's blood went cold. Aria is safe. The guards held him off, but my lord, he knows where she lives. He came for her directly. Rage, pure and incandescent, flooded through him. Elian had gone after Aria while Yvain was with her, counting on him leaving at dawn. It was clever. It was unforgivable. How many did we lose? 2 guards. Elian had a dozen mercenaries with him. We drove them off, but it was close. Yvain closed his eyes. 2 of his people dead because he had brought danger to Aria's door. Their families will be compensated generously. What are your orders? We move Aria today, somewhere Elian cannot touch her. And then I end this. Yvain opened his eyes and they were black as pitch. Gather the council. Tell them I am invoking the old laws. Challenge by combat. Elian wants war. He can have it. But it will be between him and me, no one else. Lucien bowed. It will be done. Yvain called Aria as soon as it was safe for him to go out again. Evening, the sun set. She answered on the first ring. Are you okay? He asked immediately. I'm fine, but Yvain, someone tried to break into my building. The police were here. I know. It was Elian. He kept his voice calm. I need you to pack a bag. I am moving you somewhere safe. What? No, I can't just leave. Aria, please. He came for you directly. My guard stopped him, but he will try again. I cannot protect you properly if you stay there. Silence. Then where would I go? I have a property outside the city. A house. It is secure, and I will have guards there around the clock. For how long? Until I resolve this. How are you going to resolve it? He hesitated. She deserved honesty. I am going to challenge Elian to single combat. Winner takes everything. Loser does not walk away. You're going to fight him? To the death? Yes, Yvain. No, you can't. I can and I will. It is the only way to end this without more people dying. His voice gentled. I have survived 400 years of these games. I will survive too. You don't know that. I do. Elian is 2 centuries old. Strong but not strong enough to beat me. She was quiet for a moment. When? Tomorrow night. The council is arranging it now. Then I want to be there. Absolutely not, Yvain. Aria, it will be dangerous. These fights are brutal. I cannot focus on protecting you while fighting him. I don't need protection. I need to be there, please. Her voice cracked. I need to know you're okay. He closed his eyes. If I allow this, you stay back. Behind the guards. You do not interfere no matter what happens. Agreed? Agreed. I will pick you up in an hour. Pack light. We are leaving tonight. The house was an hour outside the city, tucked into dense woods. Modern but warm, with high ceilings and huge windows. Aria walked through it in a daze, shadow trailing behind her. This is yours? She asked. One of several properties. I come here when I need silence. Yvain set her bag down in the master bedroom. You will be safe here. I have 10 guards to post around the perimeter. 10 seems like overkill. Elian had a dozen mercenaries. 10 is not enough, but it is all I can spare. She turned to face him. You're really doing this tomorrow? I am, and you're confident you'll win? Yes. He crossed to her, taking her hands. I have fought dozens of these challenges. I know what I am doing. That doesn't make me less scared. I know. He pulled her into his arms and she let herself lean into him. He was solid, cool, real. But I promise you, I will come back. I have too much to live for now. She pulled back enough to look at him. You've known me for a week. I have watched you for months. Spoken to you, learned you. A week, a month, a year, the time does not matter. You changed something in me. Aria kissed him then, sudden and fierce. He froze for a heartbeat, then kissed her back. Gentle at first, then deeper. His hands cupped her face like she was precious, breakable. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. I need you to win, Aria whispered. Whatever it takes. I need you to come back. I will. I swear it. He stayed with her that night. They did not sleep, just talked and held each other as dawn approached. Yvain told her more stories, 4 centuries worth. Aria listened, memorizing every detail. Learning him, when the sun rose, he had to retreat to the windowless basement. Aria stood at the top of the stairs, watching him descend. Tonight, he said. Tonight, she agreed. The combat was held in an old warehouse on neutral ground. The Vampire Council had gathered 50 of the eldest and most powerful vampires in the region. They stood in a circle, white-haired and pale, beautiful and terrible. Aria stayed with Guguard as promised, but she could see everything. The empty space in the center where the fight would happen. The council members watching with expressions of cold interest, and Yvain, standing alone dressed in black looking like a king. Elian Ravenna entered from the opposite side. He was smiling, confident. He bowed mockingly to Yvain. Come to die, old friend, come to end you, Yvain replied calmly. The head of the council, a woman who looked 30 but radiated ancient power, stepped forward. The challenge has been issued and accepted. Combat to the death, no interference. The victor claims the loser's territory and assets. Agreed? Agreed, both said. Then begin. They moved so fast Aria almost could not track it. One moment they were still, the next they were a blur of motion. Elian struck first, claws extended, aiming for Yvain's throat. Yvain blocked, twisted, threw him across the space. Elian landed on his feet, still grinning. You have gotten slow, and you have gotten arrogant. They clashed again. The sound was terrible. Bone on bone, superhuman strength colliding. Elian drew a blade, silver, and slashed at Yvain's face. Yvain dodged, but not quite fast enough. Blood welled black in the low light. Aria bit back a scream. Yvain touched the cut, looked at the blood on his fingers. Something shifted in his expression. When he moved again, it was different. Faster, more brutal. He caught Elian's wrist and twisted until bones snapped. Elian screamed. You threatened her, Yvain said softly. That was your mistake. He drove his fist through Elian's chest. The younger vampire's eyes went wide. Yvain pulled back, holding Elian's heart. It was still beating. Old laws, Yvain said. You lose. He crushed the heart. Elian collapsed, body already crumbling to dust. The council watched in silence. Then the head counselor spoke. Yvain Hale is victorious. Ravenna's territory is forfeit. Yvain turned to Aria. Blood still dripped from the cut on his face and his eyes were black, but when he saw her they softened back to gray. She ran to him, ignoring the guard's protests. He caught her, held her tight. "It is over," he murmured. "You are safe." She was shaking. "That was terrifying." "I know. I am sorry you had to see that." "Don't apologize." She pulled back, looking at his face. The cut was already healing. "You won. That's what matters." He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. "I told you I would come back." The drive home was quiet. Yvain held her hand the entire way, thumb tracing circles on her skin. Shadow sat in the back seat, looking supremely uninterested in the drama. At the house, Aria finally asked the question that had been building. "What happens now with us?" Yvain turned to face her. "That depends on you. I can offer you protection, distance, whatever you need, or you stay with me. We see where this goes." He paused. "I am 400 years old. I have seen empires rise and fall, and I have never wanted anything the way I want a future with you." Tears pricked her eyes again. "I'm human. I'll age. I'll die. I know that doesn't bother you. It terrifies me. But the alternative, not being with you at all, is worse." He took her hands. "I am not asking you to decide tonight. Take time, think about it. What if I want to be turned, become like you?" His expression tightened. "That is possible, but it is not a decision to be made lightly. Vampirism is not a gift, Aria. It is a curse as much as anything. You would lose the sun. You would outlive everyone you know. You would need blood to survive, but I'd have you. You would, for as long as you wanted." She was quiet for a moment, processing. "Can I meet them? The council, your people? See what this world really is before I decide, of course." "Anything you need." Over the next weeks, Yvain introduced her to his world. She met Lucien, who was formal but kind. She attended a council meeting and watched vampire politics unfold, the old codes and careful alliances. She saw the beauty and the darkness, the luxury and the blood. And through all of it, Yvain was patient. He answered her questions, gave her space when she needed it, held her when she asked. He courted her properly, old-fashioned dates and small gifts. A first edition of her favorite book. Tickets to the symphony. Flowers every week. Shadow divided his time between them, perfectly content with the arrangement. 2 months after the fight with Elian, Aria made her decision. They were in the penthouse, watching the city lights. Shadow was asleep on his cushion. Yvain had his arm around her and everything felt right. "I want to be turned," she said. He went still. "Are you certain?" "Yes. I've thought about it constantly, and I don't want 50 years with you. I want forever. Aria, I know what I'm giving up. The sun, aging, all of it. But I'm also gaining something incredible. You, this world, a chance at real immortality." She turned to face him. "I love you. I've been falling in love with you since the night you showed up at my door with Shadow. And I want this." His eyes were bright. "I love you. I have loved you since I first saw you feeding my ridiculous cat. You are everything." He kissed her, deep and desperate. When they broke apart, she was crying happy tears. "When?" she asked. "Whenever you are ready. There is a process, preparation. I will not turn you until you are absolutely certain. I'm certain now. Then we begin tomorrow." The turning took place a month later, time Yvain used to prepare her. He explained the process in detail, the pain, the transformation. He introduced her to newly turned vampires so she could ask questions. He made sure she said goodbye to her family, told them she was taking a long trip for work. She quit her job, closed out her apartment, packed up her life. On the chosen night, they gathered in the penthouse. Just Yvain, Aria, and Lucien as witness. Shadow watched from his cushion. "Last chance to change your mind," Yvain said softly. "I'm not changing my mind." He bit his wrist, offered it to her. "Drink. Then I will drain you to the edge of death and feed you again. It will be agony. But I will be with you through all of it." She drank. His blood was strange, cold and metallic, but also rich. Power flooded through her. Then he bit her throat and the world went away. Pain, darkness, the sensation of dying. And through it all, Yvain's voice. "I am here. You are safe. I am here." She came back to consciousness slowly. Everything was different. Sharper. She could hear the city blocks away, smell the night air through closed windows, and she was so thirsty. Yvain was beside her instantly, offering a glass. Blood. She drank without thinking, and it was perfect. Warm and rich and exactly what she needed. When she finished, she looked at him. His face was different now, more beautiful. She could see the power in him, the centuries. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Incredible. Everything is so vivid." He smiled, relief and joy mixing. "It worked. You are a vampire now." She looked at her hands, pale like his. She stood and moved to the mirror. White skin, white hair already starting to come in at the roots. She looked like something from a fairy tale. "I'm beautiful," she whispered. "You have always been beautiful. Now you are eternal." She turned and kissed him, and it was different now. She could feel his strength match it. When they broke apart, both were grinning. "What now?" she asked. "Now we live. We have forever." 1 year later, they moved into a new house. Not the penthouse, which was too much city, and not the safe house, which had too many bad memories. This house had a garden, big and overgrown, with room for Shadow to hunt imaginary prey. They stood in the garden at midnight, Aria's favorite time now. Everything was vivid and clear. Shadow wove between their legs, purring. I was thinking, Aria said, we should start the fire escape tradition again, at the new place. Yvain laughed. Why? Shadow does not need food. No, but it's how we started, and I want to remember that. He pulled her close, kissing the top of her head. Then we will. Every night, she agreed. Above them the stars were brilliant. The city was distant but present, and the future stretched out, long and bright, and theirs. Shadow meowed, breaking the moment. Yes, Aria said. We know you're here too. The cat had no opinion on the matter. But he stayed with them anyway, immortal and patient. As the night wrapped around all three of them, the woman who had once fed a stray cat every evening was gone. In her place stood someone new, someone powerful. But the kindness remained, the love remained, and the vampire king who had watched her from his balcony, lonely and ancient, had found what he had been searching for across 4 centuries. Home. They lived for years in that house with the garden. Aria adapted to vampirism with surprising ease. She learned to control her strength, her speed. She attended council meetings at Yvain's side, and the other vampires quickly learned to respect her. She had her own opinions, her own power, and she was not afraid to use them. Yvain taught her everything: history, politics, combat. But more than that, he taught her to live fully in each moment, to appreciate the small things that made immortality bearable. Music, art, the feeling of rain on skin. Shadow's irritated meow when dinner was late. They traveled when the mood struck. Paris, where Yvain had found Shadow. Tokyo, Moscow, Buenos Aires. They saw the world together, and everywhere they went, they fed the stray cats they found. A tradition, Aria insisted. A way to remember. On their 5th anniversary, Yvain brought her back to their first city. To the building where her old apartment had been. It was unchanged. The fire escape still rusted and narrow. Do you regret it? He asked. Giving up your human life? She looked at the fire escape, remembering the lonely woman she had been. Then she looked at him, at the love and certainty in his eyes. Not for a second, because I have something for you. He pulled out a small box. Inside was a ring, simple and elegant. I know vampire marriages are not like human ones, but I wanted you to have this anyway, a symbol. She slid it on, and it fit perfectly. Are you proposing? I am declaring my intention to be yours for the rest of eternity. If you will have me, I will have you, she said, laughing and crying at once. Forever. They kissed there on the empty street, 2 vampires who had found each other through a cat and a fire escape and sheer impossible luck. Shadow, watching from Yvain's car, had no opinion on the matter, but if asked he would have approved. 10 years after her turning, Aria stood in their garden watching the moon rise. Shadow sat beside her, as patient as ever. The cat was over 200 years old now, kept alive by magic and stubbornness. Yvain appeared behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? How lucky I am, how impossible this all is. She leaned into him. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Shadow hadn't wandered to my fire escape? Every day I am grateful he did. Me too. They stood together in the moonlight, immortal and content. The future stretched before them, long and unknowable. But they would face it together because she had fed the stray cat each night, not knowing it belonged to the watching vampire king. And everything had changed. The story that began with loneliness and a simple act of kindness had become something neither could have imagined. Not a fairy tale exactly, but something real and earned and worth fighting for. They had eternity now, and they would spend it well with Shadow between them, a reminder of where they had started and how far they had come. In the garden, under the stars, the vampire king held his queen. And the immortal cat purred, satisfied with the chaos he had caused, because sometimes the smallest things, the most unlikely moments, changed everything. And sometimes forever started with a saucer of chicken on a rusted fire escape, offered to a creature who belonged to someone else entirely. Sometimes love was patient, sometimes it was inevitable, and sometimes it came with a very old cat included.